subsidiary of the Hilton Hotel Group. So I want to clarify any confusion for that.
Right. Okay, let's talk about it. Bring in former Acting Secretary of the Department of Homeland Security, Chad Wolf. Chad, pleasure to have you on. I'm not going to act like I'm surprised, because there are some crazies, some wackos out there that have really gone against federal law enforcement, and now it's happened in Minnesota. Chad, your reaction?
Yeah, look, unfortunately, this is what ICE has to deal with, particularly when they operate in blue cities. We saw in Portland, ICE officers actually being accosted at their hotels. Here in Minneapolis, they're being refused hotels. So I think in these blue cities and blue states where there is anti-ICE sentiment, unfortunately, I think ICE and DHS, they're going to continue to run into these issues. Now, look, Hilton may have done the right thing with their latest statement. This should have been their initial approach yesterday when this story broke. I think it took too long for them to get here. It seems as though they've cut ties with this independently owned and operated hotel, but they needed to do that a lot quicker, in my view.
You know, also, Chad, when you said that you feel that ICE agents will continue to receive pushback for reservations and everything, is that, you know, I know you're not a lawyer, but is that even legal? Is that possible to actually refuse service to anyone? It doesn't matter who they are or what their job is.
No, that's exactly right. It feels discriminatory to me,
yes.
And probably certainly to those ICE agents that, again, they're there in Minneapolis to protect folks on the streets there, right? They're removing criminal illegal aliens. They're there looking at the fraud that is going on. And so when DHS announces that they have removed about 1,000 or arrested 1,000 criminals, including pedophiles, including rapists and others, these are what these ICE officers are doing. So they're protecting folks there in the state, and for hotels or anyone else to discriminate against them, it's not right. But again, unfortunately, it's what we've seen on this anti-law enforcement mentality that we see in a lot of these Democratic-run states and cities.
Real quick, we want to get to a soundbite. Acting ICE Director Todd Lyons, Chad, he was talking about just what you were, why they're there in the first place to crack down on illegal immigration and some of the really bad actors that are there.
One thing we should really note, too, is the fact that states like Minnesota that have a strong sanctuary city policy and sanctuary protections do attract other illegal aliens to come there to take advantage of welfare, public assistance, SNAP benefits. And that's just a magnet that brings that criminal element that can hide in plain sight. And that's what we're finding up in Minnesota.
20 seconds, Secretary, your thoughts.
Yeah, the acting director is exactly right. Look, if you have a sanctuary policy in a jurisdiction, then it's going to require more and more ICE agents to come in there. And that's why you're seeing a flood of them in Minneapolis. It's why you saw them in Chicago and elsewhere. It's because the locals are not cooperating. And so ICE has to flex in even more resources in there. And so the best thing that all of these communities can do is just work with ICE. Let them pick up criminal illegal aliens in the jail, and you'll see fewer and fewer of those on the streets. But they're not going to do that. They're going to continue to play politics with public safety. And the result is more and more ICE officers in their communities.
All right, we're going to leave it there. Secretary Chad Wolf, thank you very much.